Hi there, my name is Troels. I'm trying to figure out my camera angle, and in this one I'm going to be turning around because you're right there and I'm looking that way. In this video I'm going to be talking about a new brass ostinato for tubas and trombones. I should say tuba and trombones. We have one tuba and two trombones all playing an ostinato. You may be aware that we have another ostinato brass library for trumpets and French horns, and this follows the exact same architecture. So the libraries are fully identical. And the cool thing about that is that it allows you to take all the different sections and put them together and do whatever you want when it comes to the short note realm. This is ultra deep sampling of short notes. We have traditional short notes. We have things like tuplets and triplets sampled at multiple speed, multiple velocities. Then we have 5 different types of ostinatos, so covering virtually any kind of dynamic, any kind of tempo, and getting super realistic brass in the process. That's really what these libraries are about, to nail the short notes in a way they haven't been nailed in the past, so you can do whatever you want to do. So without further ado, let's get into the DAW. I'll start here by playing with the 2 trombones, and then we'll migrate to the tuba. And then I'll do a follow-up video as well where I can play with all these different things together. We also have the same coming out for woodwinds, and we obviously have 2 different volumes from ostinato already for strings. So when you put the whole thing together and you cross-pollinate, you can make some amazing audio honey out of it. But yeah, let's get into the DAW. Alright, so we are in the DAW. Right now you can see 3 different instances of contact loaded here. In the first one, I'm going to show you the short notes, the Staccattissimos, Marcatos, the different tuplets, triplets. We also have a variety of runs, and then we have 5 different types of ostinatos, and we'll be taking them in that order. Let me just play here shortly with the Staccatissimo. It's a very nimble little short notes here, and they're actually really cool to use on top of the ostinatos. I'll get back to that as well. We also got Marcatos. But that's sort of what we're used to. That's like normal short notes, Staccattissimos, Marcatos. We've been there a million times. Let me show you the 4 different types of tuplets and triplets that we have. We recorded them at 2 different tempos. These are round robin and velocity based as well. Starting here with the regular tuplets, and we also have tuplets fast. And they're neat because they're velocity based, so you can go super soft like. You can also adjust the tempo here. Let me get up to like 1.5 of the normal speed. And even when you repeat the same chord, it doesn't sound machine gunny because it's not. Let me try here with the tuplets fast and dial that back to chord tempo. And let's do them twice as fast. We also have triplets, and that would be normal tempo first. All of these things are tempo synced to your DAW, so no matter what you do, it fits perfectly in the tempo and just sits in there. And especially with the ostinatos that we're going to look upon a little later in the video, they just sit amazingly in the pocket. And you know, if you try to do stuff like that with short notes, it just doesn't sit exactly the same way. You don't get the same burn between the notes. And one of the reasons is that when you play that fast, the way the notes are interconnected, the single note legato, if you will, is just different. That's why it's like, you can really feel the burn in the note, where it's like, it's not the same. The percussive definition of each of those da-da-da is not the same. So that's why we've done the tuplets and triplets at multiple speeds and with the whole speed control as well, so you can really do what you want. Let me move on here just quickly to some of the runs. There's a lot to show, and runs are a little bit boring to listen to, but I'll just play a few of them for you. It's kind of funny when you have runs on a trombone because you can obviously slide on it and it gives sort of a like, how defined are these notes? It's just more like, actually cool for like aleatoric effects. We also got major runs. Obviously also it's obligatory for the trombone, but we have a sliding runs as well. The most chunky part of the library, the really beefy part of it, is our ostinatos. We have 5 different types of ostinatos, and 3 of them have very separated notes recorded at 3 different tempos, and 2 of them have very flowing notes with connected notes. I'll take you through all of them. Just like you saw with the triplets and tuplets at multiple tempos and velocities, when you have the same level of control for ostinatos, we virtually covered every tempo, every dynamic, and with the ability to tempo sync it to your D or W as well. And the end result is just an enormous amount of short notes that allows you to do virtually anything you want, but always with that super realistic sound. I'm just completely OCD, well, it's not D really, it's just OC. When it comes to orchestral music in the computer sounding super realistic. But let's get into the DAW and let's try out the 5 different ones. I'll start here with the slow, we call it agile type of brass ostinato for the trombones. Aren't they beautiful? I love them. You know, again, if we were trying to do that with short notes, it would be... And it sort of works at that slower tempo, but let me take the same one here and beef it up twice as fast, and then we'll compare to the short notes again. All right, let's try that with the short notes. One of the awesome aspects as well with the ostinatos is that they're velocity based, so you can really do these beautiful soft transitions. Let me take the same one here and dial it up to double tempo. Right, so let's go to the next ostinato. This one would be called Agile Fast. It's twice as fast as the one we just listened to. And as you can see here, even on the first one, the speed knob allows you to control them fully individually as well. So it's not just that we have all these different tempos, connected notes and not connected notes. It's also the ability to control them and have them sync to your DAW. But let me show you the Agile Fast here. This is where the short notes in a traditional multi-sample form start to lose their value. There's certain things they just can't do. I'll show you right now. Okay, let me try to attempt to do that over here with the Staccattissimos. Can you hear how they're just not connected the same way? Short notes are great, they're very playable and all that stuff, but if you want that real sound, and especially the way the attack is defined between each of the individual steps in a phrase, it's not the same. Let me just try to play very short here on the Staccattissimos and then compare them to the Agile ostinato. And switching to the ostinato. the dynamic control, the way you can weave in and out dynamics, it's just not the same for the short notes. And we can beef up the tempo a little more here, and this is really where it starts getting out of the realm, where the short notes, as we normally use them in our templates, were recorded at certain tempos, but they're not really designed for fast, especially epic and very, very on the grid type of music, but where you want percussive definition on each of the little like steps. We also have flowing notes, so we have 3 different types of agile ostinatos that have separated notes, but we also have flowing ostinatos where the notes are more connected, a single note legato, if you will. So they have a little more of a sort of a noble character to them, a little more stoic and proud. Let me try to beef that one up in tempo as well. We also have flowing fast, that would be twice as fast as we just heard, but again with interconnected notes. And let's take that one up twice as fast. You can also add the staccattissimos together with the ostinatos. I like it sometimes just holding down a phrase and then having more of that sort of melodic feel. You get the round robin benefits from the staccattissimos, but you get the full benefit of fluent ostinatos underneath. A little bit softer. Okay, so that was the trombones. Now we're gonna go into the tuba. We recorded one tuba and a really, really good player, because I thought once you start playing with multiple keys, especially in the darker notes and the deeper notes, you want something very consistent. So it's still like playing multiple tubas, but with a really, really clear definition. And it really goes well together with the 2 trombones as well. I'll show that in the video, but let's just get into it here. Let me start playing here with the short note staccatissimo. It's weird with instruments like tubas. They should not be played as clunky as I just did. If I go into the tuplet here, the most obvious thing would be like one thing is like you push to the very, very like back of the room when it comes to the orchestra, and you're probably the least prominent thing. The fact you're always like taunted with is kind of sad. I remember when we did our 66 tuba library, we had 66 tuba players flown in from multiple places around the world, and they were so happy to see other tuba players, because normally there's just 1 or 2 of them if you're really lucky in the orchestra. It's an amazing library, by the way. If you really, really want a big sound, that's the one. But let's go back here to the solo tuba playing tuplets fast. And the triplets. and triplets fast as well. And as you can see here, we have a question mark on the UI. This always allows you to see whatever you want to see in terms of features and how things are assigned and so forth. We also have some runs, which I'll quickly run through here with the tuba. It's hilarious to hear runs on tubas, by the way. Okay, so that was the short notes, the staccattissimos, the marcatos, the tuplets and triplets, the runs and all that stuff. Just like with the trombones, the bulk in the tuba here is really the 5 different types of ostinatos. One thing that's really cool about this UI, and it goes for all our Century products, is that you can very quickly assemble your own matrix. Let me try to show you here in the UI how it works out. Essentially, you just double click here and you can choose any articulation you want. Right now, I'll just build a quick articulation matrix, populating it with the 5 different ostinatos. And this is how quick it is. You can see it loads in real time as well. And now I have all my ostinatos. And Agile fast. Just to totally make fun of myself and my horrible playing skills, let me try to do the same thing here with the short notes. Yeah, you know, there's no reason to try. It's just not the same. Check this out here. And let's compare to the ostinatos. It's just that the way the notes are connected, the way that each little attack is connected to the next one, you get a lot of definition, the way they blow into the valves. It's just not the same. And that's why I had to conclude, even though we did the biggest collection of short notes I've ever seen for Century, that we actually had to go back and redo it all with the ostinatos. So we really have full short note control. And these libraries, I want to say, are somewhat generic. You know, they're just playing da 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 da. So they work great with all sorts of libraries. It's really designed to be sort of an underlying template library that you can put into whatever you want, not just Century products. It's really designed to work with all sort of brass libraries and just give you that complement of having real notes. Let me play here with the Agile very fast too. And just like with trombones, we also have both Agile, these are very sort of separated types of ostinatos, and our flowing ostinatos, so the notes are flowing into each other. And let's beef it up twice as fast. Now let's try another experiment here. Let me load both the tubas and the trombones and the trumpets together, all playing Agile and flowing types of ostinatos, so you can hear what it sounds like when you put them together. And let's put that up to 1.5 of the normal tempo. And let's try to go a little bit faster and more defined than that. Let's do Agile fast here. And again, you can see this is all real time here. This is how quick it is. Let's try it. And let's double the tempo on that as well on all these three here. Ah, that failed the needle. No! You can never fail the needle. Let's go. All right, let's try again. And it sounds almost a little artificially fast. That's sort of a little faster probably than you can get an orchestra to be. One of the beautiful things about going twice as fast on some of the slower articulations is that they really sit well in the grid. So if you're doing action music, something very fast-paced trailer kind of deal, use the twice as fast option. It also works in the strings and the woodwinds to get it really sitting on the grid just when you need it underneath, and then you can always create ornaments with short notes and other things on top. Let me also try to do a combination of trumpets and trombones and French horns. Let's see what they sound like. Isn't that neat? I can try to do that with short notes. It would not sound very good, but let's just give it a shot to compare quickly. This is a good example of why we do ostinatos, why the short notes are so important, but also when they need support as well. All right, let's just compare what I just did with the awful Marcato thing I just played and compare it against here the flowing fast notes here. It's just a joy in the keys. When you see me move my hand here, it's because I'm holding down my sustain pedal and adjusting the dynamics over here. So you can always just right click on your controller here and assign it to anything you want. All these guys here are assignable to whatever controller you want to do. If you don't want a non-mod wheel, if you have a breath controller, whatever it is, you can do virtually anything you want. Right, let me do one last experiment here. I'm just going to take all the individual instruments from the two libraries, the trombones, the trumpets, the tubas, and the French horns, and use them in Agile ostinato mode, all combining together and with double speed. And it's just to show you that when it comes to playing it, it's actually not just that it's more realistic than the short notes, but it's also easier to play, so you can actually faster get through your orchestrations. Yeah, that's it. This is Ostinato Brass for you. As I mentioned in the beginning, we also have 2 volumes coming out for ostinato woodwinds, following the exact same concept and architecture. We have 2 different volumes for strings as well. I'll do another video where I show you how all these can go together, just like I just did now, but with all the individual sections, you can really have full orchestration at your fingertips and sound super realistic. I also want to mention that these things were recorded at multiple tempos because we like them that way. You have the tempo adjustments, but it's also to cover every single range of orchestral music that you can possibly do, from very slow sort of connected notes to very fast, desperate, intense kind of epic action style. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love these libraries because they just work out of the box. They give me that realism that I didn't always have before. I thought I had, but I didn't. And yeah, interesting little fellow, huh?